All right, so welcome to the virtual college exploration for all North Carolina students. Sponsored by Carolina's Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers and StriveScan. So thank you so much for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions for our presenters at any time today. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. And this is just one of many different sessions that are happening. So be sure to check out the full schedule on CACRAO.org. The presentation is being recorded and will be available within the week at that same website. So I'm going to turn it over to our presenters at this point in time. So you guys can take it away.
Thanks, and hello to everybody. Good morning. My name is Taylor Forbes, and I am an admissions counselor with East Tennessee State University, and I'll let my fellow presenters introduce themselves too.
My name is Travis Wilson. I'm another admissions counselor at Morris Hill University.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Blake Morgan, and I'm an admissions representative from UNC Charlotte.
And so today we're just going to cover, the title of this presentation is Have It Your Way, How to Find Your Dream School Out of 5,300 Options. So there are tons and tons of different types of schools out there. And I remember when I was a senior and trying to figure out where I was going to go to school, or, where should I start? In the back of my mind, I knew that I wanted to go to a certain size of school that had certain resources and things that they offered their students. And so we're just going to be talking through Travis is going to be covering a perspective from a private school. I'm going to be covering a perspective from an out-of-state school as well as a medium-sized institution. And then Blake's going to be covering what it's like for an in-state public school and a larger university. So I'll turn it over to Travis and he can kick it off.
Well, thank you, Taylor. So Morris Hill University was actually founded in 1856. So just want to give you a basic idea of that. So there's a lot of history here on our campus. And the one thing I love about our campus is that we have a good mixture of a good historic feel as well as a modern feel. So if you ever decided to come and visit our campus, you'll definitely have that feeling when you do arrive. So it may choose by the numbers. We are a private liberal arts institution. So we're actually located 20 minutes outside of Asheville. I don't know if you guys are located, know where that is located, but that is in the western part of North Carolina. Our enrollment is under 1,100 students. Our student to faculty ratio is 13-1. So one thing we truly emphasize here on our campus is we definitely want to give students a personalized attention from a professor standpoint. So we definitely want to make sure that we know our students by name and make sure that they truly count and truly are known. And if they have any questions, they're more than welcome to come up to our professors freely and answer those questions if necessary. So our average class size is 15 to 20 per student. We have 32 different majors as well as 31 minors. Popular majors that we do have on our campus is business, criminal justice, zoology, nursing, music, as well as psychology. And the one thing I want to definitely emphasize, especially with the music piece, is that typically throughout the summers, we have a lot of our music students, our prospective music students come down for camps. And so a lot of students are really interested either in music, musical theater, or music education. So those are really big things. If you definitely play any instruments or anything, or if you really want to be in theater down the line, this is definitely a great school to check out for sure. So you're wondering, what is the admissions process? So typically how it starts with going on our website. So it's www.mhu.edu. So typically we offer fee waiver codes to avoid paying the application fee of $25. And so we definitely want to help students as much as possible from that standpoint, because I know that you guys are applying for various colleges. And so we definitely want to make sure that we're cost effective for you guys as well. So there's also various free app weeks with CFNC. And then I do want to emphasize that we are not on Common App. I know a lot of high schools offer that, so I do want to make that known that we are not on Common App. So you just pretty much have to apply on the website. After you send in your application, after you fill that out, we will need your unofficial transcript, and we do go by weighted GPAs, okay? And then in addition to that, we will need your SAT or your ACT, whichever one is higher. And the reason why I bring that up is that we super score. And so I definitely want to emphasize that, because we offer, which we will see in the next slide, is that we offer academic scholarships. So the higher your GPA and the higher your scores, the more money you receive down the line from an academic piece. The awesome thing about our school is that you won't have to fill out any essays or recommendation letters or things of that sort. So we definitely want to help you the best way, make this process as easy as possible for you. Also, one thing I want to make known, compared for this year compared to other things as other years, especially with everything that's going on with the pandemic, for fall 2021, we are going to be test optional. But what I will recommend, and what I mean by test optional, is that you have that option to either take the SAT or the ACT, or you don't have to. I know there's sometimes where, I don't know if ACT or SAT has opened it up for students to take those classes or take those tests. But if they have not, you don't have to worry about it. You can just go ahead and apply, send us your unofficial transcript, and you should be good to go. But I will recommend and encourage you, if you do have an opportunity to take your SAT and ACT, to do so. And the reason why I say that is because it's important from a class placement standpoint. We want to make sure that we place you in the right class. And then also from an academic scholarship standpoint as well. So we want to definitely give you the highest academic scholarship as possible. And then another great thing about our school is that we're rolling admission. So there's no admissions deadline. So that's a really good thing as well. So to the scholarship piece, I know a lot of parents want to know this for sure. Our cost of attendance is $44,390, and that was as of last year. And now, don't be alarmed. Now, mind you, nobody will be paying this amount. The big piece that I definitely want to emphasize, and this is important for any college that you go to, is completing your FAFSA. And I think that's where your federal aid, student aid come in, and things of that sort. So the cool thing about our school is that since we are a private school, obviously this is why it's so high. But our cost of attendance, it includes your tuition, your fees, your standard norms, your limited meal plans, your books, your parking, your laundry, and your printing. So I definitely want to let you know that this is an all, inclusive type of thing that you will have. Now, the cool thing about our books, I noticed that the books, I wanted to make this clear to you. I told you that the books are included with your cost of attendance. At a lot of other schools, typically, you have to go and select your books and things of that sort. How it works here in Mars Hill is that we package it all together. And so by the time you arrive on campus, we'll go ahead and have that all packaged together for you. All you have to do is pick it up, and you can be on your way. So I definitely want to make that clear to you. As I said before in the previous slide, that we offer academic scholarships. We do offer athletic scholarships, but we don't, with the admissions staff, we don't definitely go into detail with those athletic scholarships. The coaches will definitely speak with you if they decide to. Cool thing about it is that we offer a Bonner Scholarship. And so cool thing about Bonners is that it's a community service-based scholarship. So typically we offer scholarships based on the amount of community service that you complete. So you have to complete up to 140 hours of community service per semester. And if you complete that, you earn a scholarship that way. Now, they determine the amount of the scholarship based on your EFC. So that's your estimated family contribution. And so it's definitely a great scholarship to definitely check out. The way to get started with that is pretty much apply for it. I pretty much compare it to like applying for a part-time job, right? So you apply for it pretty much. And then how it works is that if they decide for you to move forward in an interview and you do well in the interview and they decide for you to move forward, they'll add you to the team and go from there. Also, we offer an honors program. We have an honors program here on campus. So with the honors program, we offer scholarships. And a cool thing about that, you have to have a 3.7 GPA, as well as a 24 ACT or an 1170 SAT. So I want to definitely make you aware of that. If you wanted to be a music student or if you want to come here for theater, we also offer scholarships as well. Now, the cool thing about it, when I first came to work here, I've never heard of this word. I never heard of clogging. So clogging is pretty much like tap dancing, but it's pretty much with clogs. So it's a pretty cool thing. We have it's called the Bailey Mountain Cloggers. That's our name of our team. They're 28-time national champions. So if you have any experience with clogging, you're more than welcome to be a part of our team. moving forward. And they also offer scholarships. Our spirit team offers scholarships as well as our dance team. So if you're interested in any of those things, we offer that as well. Also, athletics. I know there's some people that's not a big fan of sports, but I know there's a lot of people that are fans of it. So we do offer athletics here on campus as well. So we have 20 NCAA Division II teams on this campus. So we are Division II, like I said. So we have basketball, men and women's basketball, baseball, softball, football, soccer, lacrosse, track and cross country, volleyball, golf, swimming, everything pretty much except for wrestling. So I definitely want to make you aware of that. And then, as I said before, we do have our 3 spirit teams as well. So we have cheerleading, clogging, and dance. So if you guys have any questions, my email will be at the end of the presentation, and we'll go from there. So at this point, I would like to introduce Blake Morgan. Who better stop the share?
I'm actually going to jump in before Blake. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to present from the view of a medium-sized school. Can everybody see that? Okay. Cool. So what to expect from a medium-sized institution? A medium-sized institution to me is a school anywhere from like 8,000 students to 20,000 students and anywhere in between. For me, and ETSU is one of those, we've got about 15,000 students. And for me, that was a good size because you're not going to miss out on that small school experience with the small classroom sizes, having advisors available, and where you're just not competing with as many students to get in the class, certain classes, or to get in to meet with your advisor or anything like that. But your schools, the medium-sized schools, are still big enough where you're going to get that large school experience, and that with the different student organizations, the athletic programs, and everything else that a school of our size can have to offer. I'm also going to talk about what to expect if you're planning on going out of state, or if you're thinking about going out of state. And for me, I was born and raised in North Carolina. I ended up going out of state, and when I came to ETSU, there's tons of different factors on why you might want to go to out of state. I highlighted the top 3 that I knew of. If you're just wanting to get in a new area, or you're looking for a new opportunity and you don't want to stay maybe in the same city that you grew up in, or even the same state that you grew up in, going out of state for college is a great option. You can explore and get out and learn what it's like to live somewhere that you didn't grow up. There's also can be certain programs that are offered out of state that maybe an institution in your home state doesn't offer. And I'll get into some examples of that when I talk about ETSU. But things to keep in mind, normally going out of state, you're going to have to pay an out of state tuition, which I'll give an example of when I get into talking about ETSU. You definitely want to check to see if your credits are going to transfer, because sometimes going out of state can cause extra complications with your transfer credit if you have anything like dual enrollment or anything like that. And some states do have their own different laws, so that's something that I had to get used to when I moved to Tennessee. Nothing too crazy. Everything's pretty similar, but that is something that you got to keep in mind. And then you are going to be in a new area. So just a few things to think about. ETSU is a 4-year public university. We're Division I. We compete in the Southern Conference. Like I said before, we have almost 15,000 students. So for me, it was like a Goldilocks size. It wasn't too big or too small. We have a 15-to-1 faculty to student ratio, and our average class size is 23. So for me, my classes here were about the same size as what they were in high school. We offer over 150 academic programs, and we offer over 250 student organizations. And then we're going to be located in Johnson City, Tennessee. So for North Carolina students, that's not too far away, especially if you're on the western part of the state, or if you're in upstate South Carolina. We're a really good option. We're about a little under an hour from Asheville. We're going to be about 2.5 hours from Charlotte, or about 2 hours from Greenville, South Carolina, if that gives you all some perspective. We are in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains, so if you love the mountains, we're a great option for you. I'll talk about our top 5 programs, and as I was talking about reasons that people might go out of state, programs are a big reason. we actually offer more comprehensive health science programs than any other college in the United States, except for Ohio State. And in Tennessee, we're the largest college of nursing. If we were in North Carolina, we would actually be the largest in North Carolina. So we have students that come here that want to become doctors, pharmacists, nurses, anything within the medical field, even healthcare administration or that side of healthcare. We do have an AACSB accredited business program, which means we're in the top 5% of all business colleges in the world. We were founded as a teacher college, and so it's something that we've been doing since 1911, and we're still nationally ranked. Last year, our elementary education program was ranked as one of the top in the country. We offer a terrific digital media program. We have concentrations in video game design, digital animation, visualization, and visual effects. So if anyone saw Thor Ragnarok or The Last Jedi, Avengers Endgame, or tons of those Marvel movies, we've got alumni that have worked on those. So it's cool because they'll show those on campus here. And when they roll the credits, they'll actually pause and point out all the different ETSU students. We're the top computing school in Tennessee. So if anyone's interested in computer science or going into cybersecurities, we're a great option for anything within the realm of computing. And we've got tons of other nationally ranked programs. These are just the top 5 most popular. We are one of the only schools in the United States that has their own bluegrass and old time country music program. We've got terrific theater and dance programs and all kinds of stuff going on. I mentioned that going out of state, you could pay an out of state tuition, especially if you're thinking about public schools that are out of state. And I've showed what it would cost. So for an out of state student going to ETSU, you're looking around $28,673 compared to an in-state tuition price of $9,500. And like Travis said, there are, with Mars Hill, there are tons of scholarships that can go around to help alleviate some of that cost. For instance, if you live within 250 miles, which most of North Carolina is within 250 miles of ETSU, and you graduate with over a 3.0 GPA, you're eligible for our Carter Scholarship, which is worth $15,000 per year. So that can help offset most of that out-of-state tuition. We do offer honor scholarships, creative arts scholarships, as well as STEM scholarships for students that major in any of those fields, where that we will cover the out-of-state portion of their tuition. How to apply? Applying is easy. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes. We don't have essays or anything like that on our application, and we are test optional. You can go to etsu.edu/apply to fill out an application. If you have questions or anything, my contact information will be at the end. The only other requirement that we have besides the application is that you have your high school send us an official copy of your transcript, and they can do that electronically or through the mail, whatever they prefer. And so now I will turn it over to Blake Morgan, and I look forward to seeing your questions at the end.
All right, thank you, Taylor, very much. So what I want to bring the perspective of, and greetings everyone, hey again, my name is Blake from UNC Charlotte, is talking through the expectation and kind of topics and guidance if you're considering a larger university, and also to what to expect from a larger institution. As what was mentioned earlier, Taylor described how medium-sized institution can be around ending 15 to 20,000. A large university will be at that range or above. And UNC Charlotte is one of those examples where we actually have almost 30,000 students. We're waiting to see what our total enrollment is going to look like for this fall 2020 semester. But who knows, it may be a little bit higher than that 29,000, but that was our enrollment for this previous year. Keep in mind that does include both undergraduate and graduate students, those who are pursuing a bachelor's degree, those who might be a part of our graduate school. And what you will find from a large institution is that they may be one of the larger in the state. Specifically, UNC Charlotte is the 3rd largest university in the entire state of North Carolina. And what you may notice that the 2 key words, a big community for our students. So knowing that UNC Charlotte has that platform for you to interact with students, not only who have a background that is very similar to you, but also a background that may be very different from you as well. As an institution, we want to provide that platform for you to really customize your education and your engagement in the learning environment throughout your time at a larger institution or any institution in general. And being such a large community, I do know the number 29,000, 30,000, even 15 or 20. Those are large numbers. But one conversation you want to have with admissions representatives is knowing what resources, options, and support, excuse me, there are for students to ensure that there is that small school feel. Even though we are a large university, we want to make sure that each one of our 49ers has access to the resources that improve their academic success and continue that academic success as well. Now, speaking about academics, though a large university has a good amount of students pursuing a degree from that institution, that gives you a lot of opportunity to customize your education, whether it's focusing on a particular major that we may offer. Typically, larger institutions will house a variety of different majors and undergraduate programs for its students to study in. So say if you might start at a university with the major being undeclared or undecided, which is actually UNC Charlotte's most popular program, you may have a little bit more time and leniency to look through all these different majors and see which one you want to go for, and more options to see how you want to custom tailor that education. Now also too, not only we have a large amount of students and a large amount of majors, we also have plenty of ways for our students to be engaged in student life. We want to make sure there are options for students to engage with a variety of different groups, whether it's based on academia, cultural, ethnic, or another type of background, along with interest or a hobby. We have over 400 different student organizations, and typically a large institution will have somewhat similar or more, depending on the institution that you're speaking with. And also too, UNC Charlotte specifically has a great variety of options for on-campus housing. And with a large institution, you'll have a lot more facilities to where you can potentially have different types of options for those on-campus living spaces. And we can't forget, typically larger institutions will have that Division I for athletic program, and specifically our conference is Conference USA. Now, speaking about going more from larger institutions who have quite a bit of enrollment, say 20,000 or more, I want to focus a little bit more on in-state tuitions or in-state institutions. So this might be for anyone who is a resident of North Carolina. Do know that you have a system of institutions of higher education that are part of one system, and they are public institutions. And that is a part of the UNC system. Now, you may know that some of us have the UNC acronym followed by the city that we're located in, and some of us don't. There's 16 different campuses, all between Western Carolina and then East Carolina as well. 16 great campuses for you to choose from, and each offers something different, whether in terms of its available programs or if it's where they're located and across the state. Now, also with the UNC system, schools, is going to be that in-state tuition. Now, each institution is going to have a different in-state tuition, and but the one thing that's going to be similar is how a student can be considered for in-state tuition. So if you are a resident here in North Carolina, and your school counselor may have already brought to your awareness about the residency determination service, in order for any student to be considered for in-state tuition at any public university in North Carolina, they do have to complete an application process through the residency determination service. Say if you're a future 49er and you're filling out your admissions application for UNC Charlotte, we're going to ask you the question as to whether or not you are claiming residency in North Carolina for tuition purposes. If your answer is yes, we'll direct you over to that application, and you'll be asked a couple of different questions about your relationship with North Carolina, how long you've been with the state, and more, just to verify if you have lived here for quite some time that you get the in-state tuition, or if you're building that pathway to eventually achieve that tuition. Now, one thing to note, when residency determination service is reviewing a student's profile for in-state tuition eligibility, it's not per se a checklist, but doing a holistic review. One of those minimum requirements is that a student does have to live in the state of North Carolina for 12 consecutive months prior to the first day of class for the institution that they'll be starting in. So say if you're wanting to start at UNC Charlotte in fall of 2021, typically our fall semester will start in mid-August. So our expectation is that students who have been provided in-state tuition have lived within the state 12 months prior to mid-August of fall 2021. But do know the residency determination service team is happy to talk through that requirement and many more if you go to their website, ncresidency.nccarolina.edu. www.cfnc.org, and they'll get your contact information along with the great frequently asked questions. And another thing to know about tuition, specifically in the UNC system, is that once you start at, say, UNC Charlotte, Appalachian State, or another institution, your tuition rate for in-state is going to be fixed. So it's going to be the same tuition for the 8 consecutive semesters to make sure that we provide an affordable education for our students while they're pursuing that 4-year degree from an institution in the UNC system. And one great partnership that we have happens to be with their North Carolina Community College system. So let's say you're attending your local community college through dual enrollment coursework or the Career and College Promise CCP. There's a lot of great ways for you to access transferable coursework, and there's an articulation agreement between all the 50 plus community colleges in the state of North Carolina and the UNC system that there is a list of coursework that will transfer over. And we also too provide great benefits for our students who do earn a transferable associate's degree, which is commonly, or examples being an Associate of Arts, an Associate of Science, Fine Arts, and Engineering. But having that direct connection with their community college partners allows you more access potentially to take that transferable coursework, whether you intend to go to a 2-year school and then transfer to another 4-year in the UNC system, or through that dual enrollment credit. Now, speaking about UNC Charlotte in just a little bit more depth, now that we talked through about who is a larger institution and what to expect, and then also our in-state tuitions, or in-state institutions, and how we're part of the UNC system, UNC Charlotte is known as North Carolina's premier urban research university. We have one of the highest classifications that any institution of higher education can attain, the Carnegie classification, which allows not only our graduate population to have great platforms to focus and research particular subject areas and topics, but also our undergraduate students. And with us being a predominantly undergraduate institution, we are fortunate to have that classification to continue to provide these research opportunities for all students. Now, we do have 7 different academic colleges and a variety of popular programs. For instance, we're actually #1 in computing and informatics in the entire state of North Carolina. A couple of other programs do include business, engineering, nursing, psychology, criminal justice, communications, and a lot more. As you might have seen from a few slides before, we offer a lot of majors, but do know we have a great resources and support for when you do start at Niner Nation, you're going to be able to find your formal major that you eventually want to graduate with. For financial aid and scholarships, in order for a student to be considered for those are secondary applications. Financial aid is going to be the free application for federal student aid, also known as the FAFSA, and that FAFSA can go to any institutions. So say you're applying for admission to Mars Hill University, East Tennessee State University, and UNC Charlotte. You can put all 3 of us on that one application for FAFSA, and then we'll go to the respective universities. Now for scholarships, it's going to look a little bit different per institution. At UNC Charlotte, after you apply for admission, you create a secondary profile to where you get matched to applications for scholarships, including the Honors College. So do keep in mind when you apply for admission at UNC Charlotte, want to make sure you get consideration for scholarships, and that takes place with the secondary process. Now, our premier merit-based scholarship is our Levine Scholars Program. It is given to about 20 students a year. As long as they're a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, you can come from North Carolina, South Carolina, anywhere across the U.S. And it's a great program where all of your costs are paid for 100% at UNC Charlotte, and you get opportunities to build a platform to make an impact in the city of Charlotte and the surrounding community. You're going to have great ways to become grow in leadership, professional environment, study abroad, and have a lot of great platforms. Now, do know this scholarship does require a nomination process where you can either self-nominate or receive a nomination from a school counselor. And speaking about our application requirements solely for undergraduate admission, all we require is an online application, a fee or fee waiver. If you're interested in having your fee being waived for UNC Charlotte, we recommend to connect with your school counselor. After all, we do receive fee waivers, but we do not provide them, but your school counselor can be a great touch point to see which fee waivers you are eligible for, whether it's for ACT, College Board, which is a testing agency for the SAT, then also NACAC, the National Association for College Admissions Counseling. And if you're applying via Common App, you can also submit a fee waiver through there. Then we will also need a transcript along with a new requirement solely for fall 2021 freshman admission, which is going to be an essay. We want to perform that holistic review on your profile and get to know you both inside and outside of the learning environment. And also do keep in mind that test scores, ACT and SAT are not required for admission for the 2021 admission cycle. Now you got to hear from a lot of us, say from a smaller school to medium-sized to larger, also private, in-state, and out-of-state. Do know that these are only a few amount of types to consider when you want to know your options for higher education. Yes, you have four-year institutions. You also have your local community college or two-year school. Then you have a technical school, say if you're wanting to go for more of a technical career, what have you. And then you also have a variety of institutions to choose from. And one of the great ways to start is looking around your region and see what local institutions there are and kind of think through what different types. This one's private. Let's see different ways to engage with them and what other private institutions have similar traits. And consider that same way for a potential out-of-state school, and then also an in-state institution as well. Now, in terms of growing in your awareness, do know that in our title, we did mention there's a lot of options. A school is not for everyone. There's not one school that is there for everyone, but there's going to be a school for everyone. And each school is going to have a lot of great foundations for you to really make an impact in your academic success. And once you're aware of the different types of options that can help you meet not only your goals for academia, but also for a profession, understand a little bit more what you may be looking for in a specific institution, where you want it to be located in a larger city, in more of a rural aspect, or somewhere in between. Does it have the majors that you're considering? What's the affordability? Is it a right financial fit for myself and depending on whether or not for my family, and a lot more. And then also, once you have this great research and continue to move forward with it as well, connecting with the institutions that meet those goals. And it doesn't have to solely be with admissions representatives. It can be with students, it can be potentially with faculty and staff, and so many more. And looking through, as Travis mentioned earlier, websites are a great starting point to access information and see how you can engage with those different institutions. I know I briefly talked through all the takeaways, but now I'm actually going to turn it back over to Travis, and he's going to guide us through any questions that you all have that we're happy to answer there for you.
Well, thank you very much, Blake. So we have a few questions, one of which is from Tegan. The student stated, how do merit-based scholarship awards differ from small, medium, large schools, both in terms of process for awarding and size of awards? So I can just start with myself from a small school perspective. So pretty much how it works is, as I stated before throughout the presentation, is based off of your SAT scores and or your ACT scores, as well as your GPA. And so what we do is typically it's based off of an academic matrix that we use internally. And so pretty much scholarships range from $3,000 to $19,500. So it all depends on, as I said, your SAT, ACT, or your GPAs. So like I said, the higher those two things are, the more money you receive that way. So I just send it over to Taylor for the medium school.
Yeah, and it's really similar. With us, it's really meet those minimum requirements for that merit-based scholarship. So for instance, we have an academic performance scholarship where if an in-state student or a border county student, they can, as long as they have a 3.5 and a 25 on the ACT, we automatically give them $2,000. An instance for an out-of-state student would be something like that Carter scholarship that I talked about. As long as you meet that 3.0 GPA and you live within 250 miles, we're going to automatically give you that $15,000. So for us, it's pretty automatic, and it's one of those things that we'll send out with your financial aid package. And then I'll turn it over to Blake.
Yeah, thanks, y'all. For our merit-based scholarships, we have a variety that may cover that full tuition and cost, mainly going to be our Levine Scholars Program. And it does have that secondary application process, which is very competitive. And do keep in mind that my contact information is there. Happy to talk through what that application process looks like and more, and connect you with representatives from the Levine Scholars Program. Outside of that program, we do have our secondary portal called Niner Scholars Portal, and that's where you get access to all applications for university scholarships, and each one's going to have different requirements. Some may be more merit-based, others may be more need-based. It just depends on which the scholarship is and which one you'll be applying for. And then also keep in mind, we can also accept and welcome outside scholarships or external scholarships. It may come from a community partner, your parents or guardians work organization, or so many more as well.
So the next question we have from Delaney Jackson. And the question that this person had was, are there ways to join smaller communities or clubs within these medium and large size universities? So I can go ahead and let Taylor answer that.
Yeah, and there definitely is. And that goes back to those student organizations that medium-sized or large-size schools can offer. For me, I got really involved with Greek life as a student, and that was almost its own community on our campus. And so that helped me feel like I had a family here on campus, and I was able to, have fun as well as network with other people. And it was just, it's awesome, my own little community.
And I completely agree with Taylor. UNC Charlotte has a lot of great platforms for you to find that community. Typically, a lot of institutions will have a week of welcome or that first week where they welcome incoming students in their first semester. And you're going to find a variety of organizations, whether it's Greek life, religious affiliated, or so many more that are there wanting to connect with you and saying, hey, here's what we're all about. Here's what we're all about. Here's our first meeting. Get connected.
Thank you, guys. So the next question from Taylor is, do any of these schools from today have fashion programs? If so, how good are they? From a Mansfield's perspective, unfortunately, we do not offer fashion programs, but I know that these two schools, I'm sure, does. So.
ETSU does. It's a concentration within our marketing degree. And so it's really goes hand in hand with one of our marketing degrees. It's a separate concentration. They do study abroad very easily through that program. And so I would encourage you, just for the sake of time and so we can answer everyone's questions, definitely check out our merchandising program online, or you can always shoot me an email after this and I'll be happy to talk to you about it. Blake.
Unfortunately, UNC Charlotte does not have that program, but great that East Tennessee State does have that program you're interested in. I wouldn't be surprised if there are other UNC system schools that may offer a program to what you're looking for. Just look up the variety of different institutions and see if they offer those goals that you're going for.
Perfect. So there was another question from Jasmine, and it was a question for you, Blake. For UNC Charlotte, I'm trying to see the question. For UNC Charlotte, if we have a fee waiver already on file, do we need to send via email, or do we have to print it off and send it?
If we are going to have a fee waiver come directly from a student, this is for UNC Charlotte, we do want to have it mailed. And as there typically might be a limited amount of copies for that fee waiver, it's coming from the student, it needs to come in the mail, but your school counselor is welcome to send that fee waiver over on your behalf. And your school counselor is welcome to email me that fee waiver or submit it electronically to our system, whichever one your school counselor approves.
Perfect, thank you. So there's another question from Ariana. Do the scholarships you get change depending on your major? So for us at Mansfield, it doesn't, but there are certain scholarships that we offer for various majors, if that makes sense. So as I stated before throughout the presentation, we do have one for music. We also have one mainly for music for the most part. There's also some for nursing as well, for our nursing program. Other than that, it's pretty much school-wide, institution-wide. So I can let Taylor answer that for his.
Yeah, so with us, we do have scholarships that are departmentally based, and so they would change depending on your major. And we do have somewhere that we will waive your out-of-state tuition, for instance, a creative art program. So anything from like our digital media, ranging through music, theater, and dance, all the way to like something like graphic design. And so for sure, we do.
Blake?
And UNC Charlotte is similar, where we have different scholarships based on a particular program or a major. Students apply for scholarships on an annual basis, and each scholarship will have those different requirements based on the student's profile, whether it's major, class standing, junior, senior, what have you, and more.
All right, thank you guys. So Samantha had a question about, what about military scholarships? Unfortunately, we don't offer a JRTC or any type of military programs here or any scholarships at Mansfield, but I can definitely let Taylor and Blake answer theirs.
We do offer military-specific scholarships, whether that be through like our ROTC program, as well as if your parents or legal guardians are in the military, then we do offer scholarships. And you can check out all of those options at etsu.edu/VA.
Awesome. UNC Charlotte does have ROTC programs for the Army and Air Force. Both of those do include scholarship opportunities for our students. And if you want to get connected to those folks or learn a little bit more about it, send me an email. Happy to help.
All right. So another question from us. Well, I was just asked this. So it says also, do any of the schools support the LGBTQ? So for us, we don't discriminate. So we want to help everyone, every student, if necessary. So like I said, we don't discriminate depending on whatever that is. So.
And the ETSU is the same way. We do have several social justice organizations on campus that you can be a part of. And we definitely have tons of resources for our students.
Along with UNC Charlotte, we want to be an institution of diversity, access, and inclusion for all students and all backgrounds. We have a couple of individuals who focus in outreach and support for our students in the LGBTQ+ community and a lot more. And if you actually want to get connected to some of those staff, send me an email.
It's been so great. I know there were additional questions that we weren't able to get to. So if you had a specific question about one of these universities you've heard from, you see their contact information right there. So when I close this window, there's going to be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We would really appreciate any feedback that you could provide. I know you appreciate all 3 of these admissions representatives giving you some feedback today. There are a lot more sessions being hosted sometime this week. So we want to encourage you to sign up for some additional sessions at CACRAO.org. In about a week, there will be a recording to this session. Feel free to watch it again or share it with friends that might be interested, as well as other session recordings. So I'm going to put up my screen, and we thank you for being here. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.